I wish I had a master plan about a great many things in life.
The next words out of your mouth ought to be the truth. Who are you?
Oh, good question. How do I describe Better Call Saul? I think Better Call Saul is a story of an underdog who works very hard to make his way in the world and make his way in the law. And the shame of Better Call Saul is that this underdog, Jimmy McGill, we know will eventually become a guy named Saul Goodman. And it's a story that's a tragedy, because the more we work on this series, the more we realize it's a very sad fact that Jimmy McGill, who we love, who we'd like to go have a beer with if he were a real human being, if he were a real life character, he is eventually going to turn into this calcified, seemingly soulless person who has a great gift of gab, a great way with words, but is someone who is harder to root for. And so I think I would describe, oddly enough, for as much comedy as exists in Better Call Saul, I would ultimately describe the show as a bit of a tragedy.
I think Jimmy is somebody who has the best of intentions. I think Jimmy's he's a little easier to root for. Walt was very easy to root for at the beginning of Breaking Bad, but as the show went on, you started understanding, or at least I did, that there was a lot more to this guy. That there was a darkness and a rebelliousness, and also an ego that just made me feel I couldn't stop watching him, but I sure wouldn't want to be in the same room with him. Jimmy is somebody who is earnest. He's a striver. He's somebody who's trying to climb the ladder against terrible odds, and I think there's something about that that's a very he's just a fun person to write for, and also a character who you would like to know, and like Vince says, somebody you'd like to have a beer with.
We both. I think the answer to that, season 2 is both lighter and darker. We are both a couple of photography nuts. We love photography, and they use an expression in photography: dynamic range, contrast ratio, the number of steps between light and dark. That's a big photography thing. Everyone's always interested in the camera that has the widest range. I keep thinking, being a photography fan, I keep thinking of this season 2 of Better Call Saul, as having a wider dynamic range. We have some moments of humor that are funnier than we had last season. The funny is funnier. The darker, the dramatic stuff is darker than last season. We stretch both ends of both extremes further than we did in season 2, wouldn't you say?
I think so. And also part of that is that the character of Mike Ehrmantraut, played by Jonathan Banks, plays I'd say an even bigger role in season 2 than he did in season 1, and Mike brings with him that inky darkness that photographers love when you have the really great dark blacks, and he sets the season apart.
We've got some moments of drama in season 2. Can't wait for people to see them. That rival the drama of Breaking Bad. So it's going to be fun. We can't wait for folks to see it. That's an astute question. We might well see.
It's possible.
It's very possible we'll see a bit of the future.
We give ourselves the freedom to go into the past, into the future, into the present of the show. In fact, sometimes we have trouble when we talk about what's the present. We have some trouble talking about what are we talking about when we talk about the present. Are we talking about literally the year we're in right now, or are we talking about the era of Jimmy McGill striving, or are we talking about Saul Goodman, or are we talking about after Saul Goodman.
Yeah.
And so we have, but the great thing about that is that we have all those colors to play with.
Suffice it to say, we're pretty adept at jumping back and forth through time.
Yeah, you'll see. I think this season, I don't know if it's giving anything, but I think we have some of the biggest jumps we've ever done.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the biggest time jumps we've ever done this season. Yeah,
I think so too. I wish we had a master plan about when the show was going to end. I wish I had a master plan about a great many things in life. We kind of take the storytelling of Better Call Saul day by day in the writer's room. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning of each season, we don't necessarily know where we're going. I mean, what holds us in good stead is that we know that Jimmy McGill has to eventually become Saul Goodman. That's a given. There's no way around that. Some days we actually wish there were a way around that, but there's not, because we have to be self-disciplined in that regard. But there is no real master plan, would you say, for how? Well, we know where we're going, but we don't know how exactly we'll get there.
That's true.
It's a funny thing.
That's a good question.
That's a good. How would you? Yeah.
I don't think we know the answer to that. I mean, when also saying Saul Goodman is the peak, maybe Saul Goodman in some ways is actually the nadir.
Yeah.
Because when he's Saul Goodman, I mean, there's the first time you meet him, he in Breaking Bad, he's proposing killing people for convenience. So in some ways, yes, maybe that's his greatest economic success, but that is maybe as soulless as this character gets, or maybe not. So we are open to where the story takes us. I will say, I think that there's one of the things that we found as we go is that this character has so much more to him. There are so many more levels than we ever expected going in. It's really been an exploration.
We have a great new character, Ed Begley Junior, wonderful actor who we've loved for years in a great many other movies and TV shows. Plays a character named Cliff Maine, who runs Davison, Maine, and he plays a lawyer. Ed Begley is one of the most likable people I have ever personally met, and he brings that to this role. I think that likability. He is such a sweet guy.
He is
the nicest guy,
and a wonderful actor.
Wonderful actor. We're lucky to get to work with him. But he plays a very high-powered attorney who is probably give away. He loves playing the guitar. He's quite a good guitarist. The character, and. He is going to.
He's a different kind of lawyer from any of the lawyers that we've seen on the show.
Yeah.
When we cast Ed Begley, that gave us a lot of notes to play that we haven't had elsewhere on the show.
I think our attitude toward Breaking Bad characters appearing on Better Call Saul is that we love it. We love, the trick is, we love Breaking Bad, we love Better Call Saul. We love it when the two worlds collide, when they overlap. We want to have a lot of Breaking Bad characters appear, but here's the trick. We don't want to overdo it. It's sort of like a little kid with an ice cream. Big bowl of ice cream, and he's got the hot fudge ladle, and he wants to put the hot fudge on the ice cream. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overpower the ice cream with the hot fudge. We want to exercise a fair degree of self-discipline and not just go crazy and put all of our Breaking Bad characters on just because we can. So we have to be self-disciplined. We have to stop ourselves from time to time. Having said that, we are very pleased to say that we've got some Breaking Bad characters who will appear. I'm not saying who, and they're not necessarily the big ones you would assume, but we've got some Breaking Bad characters appearing in season 2 of Better Call Saul. Some of them you won't recognize as quickly if you're a fan of the show. You'll have to be a real fan of the show to recognize a couple of them, to remember that they were on the show. A couple of them you will get instantaneously. And we can't wait for all of these characters to make their appearance.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danke.
Thank you. All right. The next words out of your mouth ought to be the truth. Who are you?
Saul.
Saul?
Saul good, man.
Let me tell you about a young guy. They called him Slippin' Jimmy.
Slippin' Jimmy with a law degree.
I'm on the up and up. From here on out, I'm gonna play by the rules. I don't go looking for guilty people to represent. Who needs that aggravation?
Thank you for restoring my faith in the judicial system. You can be on one side of the law or the other. I've known good criminals and bad cops. But if you make a deal with somebody, you keep your word.